Hey kids, it's Mr. Wagner here. It's Monday 323. I'm just doing one of two videos I'm probably going to do today. The first one I'm doing is about handing things in on Google Classroom. A lot of students are having trouble attaching the thing that is due. For example, there's a slideshow project due on inventions in ancient China, and then I go to grade and I look at everything, and it shows every student and the attachment. And then it says a blank square, empty space, white file, meaning you didn't attach it. So I'm in my son's Google Classroom on the screen right now. So his live classes, one of them might be like, I don't know. Let's say it's his ELA class because this isn't Hamilton, so you won't even like, what else. So if you have, where would he have something to hand in? Let's say he's got an assignment here, and then view assignment. And then he asked, we're right here. You have to hand something in for me. It's the same thing. This isn't going to apply because it's his class, but here we go. If you push resubmit, that's one thing you can do. But the first time you hand something in, usually you push add or create, and you find it in your Google Drive. If you're doing this for the first time, you don't have a file made yet, you can push add or create and docs or slides. But a lot of students are just, I don't know what you're doing, but then you just push submit. You're like, I'm done, woo! And let me go play more video games. And then you're just like, hand it in. And you're like, no, you got to make sure that there's some files up here. It's making you your own copy. If it isn't, you're supposed to go in and do file, make a copy. How do I get to a file? If you get my file from Google Classroom, it says, actually it's a slides and it's like the copy. Then you push file, top left here, make a copy. Then it's going to go somewhere in your drive. Then you have to do all the work. Then you have to hand it in. And once again, you have to push Google Drive link, like the Google Drive file, not link, the Google Drive, the file has to go in, and then you push submit or resubmit or whatever is going on. That was my son's. He's not in Hamilton, so that'll just look like the Twilight Zone to you. But that's what needs to go on. Another thing I see a lot of is if I go into, let's go into today's, the first and second Opium Wars. Excuse me. I can see exactly who did what. And right now, you keep whatever grade you have. So I am going to have to return these two because they're failings. And then when I return them, then you can go back in. This happens sometimes. If you take 12 minutes, then you might be able to get a good grade. But I push reset, and then it resets, and that person can do it again. And if you have less than a minute and get 0 right, that's a big problem that we're seeing a lot of. So please take your time on Nuzellas and do it the best you can. And then if you fail, you can do it 5 different times. You can do it on all the different. I'm holding up my hand here. All the different reading levels like 1050, 850, 650, 500. And if it takes you going all the way down to 500 to get 4 right, get 4 right, get the 100. Whatever you score is what you get in the grade book. I'll return it one time. You have one chance to fix it. So that student had a 50, that student can bring it up to 100. So I think it's pretty fair. And make sure you do the Nuzellas and you take your time. It's not like, you're not going anywhere, right? There's not a party you're missing out on because they're not allowed to have parties right now. I don't know what else you can, TikToks and Snapchats, or you'll get to them anyway. You get 10 hours a day, probably you're looking at that if you want to. So just take your time and do the Nuzellas right. Get the best possible grade. It's a good habit to form for the future. All right. It's Mr. Wagner, over and out. Good luck. Happy history learning, and stay safe.